The subject of today's teaching is what it means, this renunciation, and the necessity of it in the practice of Dhamma, for somebody whose aim is Dhamma, going forth. In the suttas, it's almost always described in exactly the same way, that a householder or householder's son, hearing the Dhamma, gains trust in the Buddha and thinks that household life is confining. It's like a trap, a dusty path. But the life gone forth is like the open air, and it's not easy living at home to practice the holy life, totally perfect, totally pure, like a polished shell. What if I were to shave off my hair and beard, put on the yellow robes, and go forth from home into homelessness? And this is repeated everywhere to describe the going forth of somebody from home into homelessness to practice the Dhamma. This renunciation, this going forth, is the very beginning of this person's practice of Dhamma. It's the base. So it's important to understand the full implications of what it means, renunciation. And it doesn't just mean to go and live as a monk. I did want to draw attention, though, to a couple of things that are mentioned in how the suttas describe this going forth. The first thing is that it's described as going forth from home into homelessness. And that's a very beautiful and simple way of summarizing actually what renunciation is about. Because it doesn't just mean leaving one place where you live to go and live in another place. It means leaving home, that is, leaving all your comfort zone, leaving all that is familiar. So changing direction completely from being a householder, from being one who is on the normal path and is involved in a family, is involved in a job, is involved in work, in the material world in different ways, but changing direction from this and going to dedicate his life to the practice of Dhamma. Another thing that is always mentioned in this short description of how a person decides to leave home to become homeless is that it is based on hearing the Dhamma and gaining faith, trust in the Buddha, in the teaching of the Buddha. Because obviously, without having heard the Dhamma and without having faith and some understanding in what the Dhamma is for, without having the base on which one takes the decision to dedicate to the Dhamma, then there can be no renunciation. So there has to be a base of understanding of the teaching and trust in the teacher to begin with. Otherwise, there's no foundation for going forth. And it is possible for people to become a monk for the wrong reasons too, to decide to leave home just based on wanting to escape from their responsibility or wanting to have an easier kind of life where they don't have to think about anything for various reasons that are not the right reason. So it's important to pay attention to that point, that the renunciation going forth in the teaching of the Buddha has to be based on hearing the teaching of the Buddha, hearing the true teaching. And it has to come from inside. It's not by force. Hear how he tells that the person who's going forth is seeing that the household life is a trapped, closed, dusty path, while the homeless life is the open air. So this is an important thing to pay attention to, that the renunciation of household life is based on seeing that it's like a dead end. The realization that whatever is one's comfort zone is actually one's prison. And just to open up that point a bit more, household life, home, it refers to, as I said, whatever is our comfort zone. Maybe it's to go traveling alone, for example. Or maybe it's to live in a community. Or maybe it's some particular subject that is our passion in life. Or maybe it's something else. Whatever we find refuge in, whatever is home for us that is not inside ourselves. Which brings me to the other point about this, that the renunciation of one's comfort zone also refers to the comfort zone in particular states of mind, in ways of being, in parts of ourselves that are our habits, that are our character, that are our way of being, and that suddenly we realize are not acceptable anymore. So for example, it can be a comfort zone to seek the attention of others to make ourselves feel loved, to make ourselves feel valued, to give us a sense of importance in the world. It can be our comfort zone to be the job, to put all of our attention into our work, and to get our sense of satisfaction from finishing projects and completing things. Our comfort zone can be a refuge in our family, or a refuge in a group of friends, or in even one specific person. Or it can be a state of mind that is so much our habit and so deeply ingrained within us that even if it makes us suffer, it can be like a comfort zone. So the renunciation, or understanding deeply of how this is a trap for us, how this is something that I don't want to accept in myself anymore, is the base of being able to go out of it, to change direction and to change oneself. And now I also just wanted to give one or two examples to show the effect when there is a lack of renunciation. Meaning that either there is some part of this comfort zone that you're still hanging on to, or the base of understanding on which you renounced is not completely clear, or perhaps the aim for which you renounced is not clear. You're not clear about your aim. Basically a lack of clarity. So there can be different reasons for having a lack of clarity in the aim, lack of renunciation. But the effect is more or less always the same. It means that there is always this duality. There is something that's pulling you in one direction while you try to work in another direction. And so it means that while you put a lot of effort, at some point the energy drains away and the reason for your determination and your effort becomes less clear, that you have to claw your way out of this and try and put back the effort again. And so you end up sort of in an endless loop of putting a lot of effort, gaining ground, and then falling back, and then putting back the effort and gaining more ground, and then falling back again. It's a bit like we have a barrel that we're trying to fill with water, but there's a tiny hole in the bottom of it. As long as there's a tiny hole in the bottom, we will never be able to fill the barrel with water to keep it, because the water will always continue to leak out. We will fill it up and it will leak out, and we'll fill it up again and it will leak out. You have to go and see where the problem is. You have to go and try and solve, okay, where is this water leaking out? What's the hole in my barrel? Or another example that Ajahn gave is that it's a bit like if you're on a bicycle, for example, and you see that it doesn't go well, that when you pedal, you're not getting as much power, or you're hearing a funny noise. You have to go and check what's wrong. If there's even one little link on the chain of the bicycle that's rusted, or that has something caught in it, then it will mess up the whole work that you're doing. You have to put so much more effort to get the same distance as if you were to have corrected this one little link in the chain. So if we see that we have a problem like this, that we are losing our energy, that we have the water in our barrel keep draining out, then the first thing we have to establish is, what is my aim? If it's not clear that my aim is the practice of the teaching of Buddha, or if it's something else, now I just have to work more to make a decision about what really is my aim and what I want to do in my life. If our aim is clear, it's not complicated, because we know that anyway I'm not going to give up my practice of Dhamma. It's clear that it's stupid to keep on holding on to my comfort zone if I know that I'm going to have to give it up at some point anyway. So I'm just continuing in a state of duality and punishing myself for nothing. So I might as well just go and find out whatever is blocking me and solve it. I have no choice. So I need to search inside myself. Where is my problem? Where am I losing energy? What do I have difficulty giving up? Where do I always fall down? And then I need to do work, to be determined and to put effort to solve it. I will still have to put effort, I will still have to work on the subject, and it won't be just solved like snapping your fingers like that. But I'm clear about what I'm doing and I know where I'm going. As if with the example of the barrel of water, as soon as you find the place where your water was escaping from the hole, now like 90% of the work is done, or 95%. Now you just have to block the hole and you can fill up the barrel with water. You still have to do the work of blocking the hole correctly, but the main problem is to find the place where it was leaking out. Or with the bicycle, 90% of the work is finding the place where the chain is weak or where it's rusted.